I'm a little bit late. So this morning I woke up, obviously I still carry tonsillitis, so it has been a lot recently. So yeah, I woke up, I started coughing a bit. So yeah, that's what happens when you get like, after sore throat, usually you get like a cough afterwards, and my mum's been the same. So just bear with me, videos are coming out. I just had a bit of a cough attack this morning when I woke up, because last night, um, I couldn't sleep because I felt like my throat was like, like I couldn't breathe. Like when you cough so much, you can't like breathe or have a second. And I've been there. It's really tough to feel that way sometimes. But yeah, but obviously I got stuff to help me out and stuff like that. So yeah, so I'm good now. It took me a bit. My ribs, because I've been coughing a little bit this morning, my ribs are a little bit sore from coughing because of that. So yeah, but I just decided to stretch this morning, so that's why this is also like because I've been just like because I've been sick, not for a while, but when you're sick, it's not good. Well, I don't know, but when you're sick, basically, it's not good for your body. Like rest is good, but your body kind of gets a bit restless and stuff like that. So I've just been stretching, and ever since even like in the morning sometimes I would start to stretch just to stretch my body out a bit, because when you're sick it's kind of like you gotta stretch yourself out a little bit. So yeah, so besides all of that, yes, I'm okay. Yesterday was a lot because I just recorded a Muppets reaction, but hadn't edited it just yet because I had a really bad headache yesterday. So I was trying to be really careful, because when I look at too much devices, I get headaches. So I try to be careful with that as well. So that's also been a little rough, but I'm a little bit better today besides the coffee. So yeah, but I'm recovering still. But besides that, we are going to talk about, this is not what you're here for, but that's what I've been dealing with. So today we are going to talk about Frankenstein. Now this movie came out last year, so I'm a little late reviewing this movie. I wasn't intentionally going to review this movie, but I'm like, since I did Nosferatu, you know what? I'm going to review Frankenstein. So I'm doing that. So yeah, so I watched it again yesterday to prepare my notes for this as well. But I watched it because this came out during like December-ish. I think it was like select theaters in some countries. I'm not sure if it was here or not. Did you see this in theaters? Let me know in the comments if you saw this in theaters or not, or maybe stream it as well. So this was in select theaters, like a couple of theaters. Not here, I suppose. Maybe in America it was, so I'm not sure. But yeah, but this released on Netflix, obviously. So I watched it on Netflix. Also, my mum watched this a couple of days earlier, because she's like, oh, do I watch this movie? I'm like, no, because I saw the trailer. I was like, I am so confused what's happening right now. Like, what? As well. So I decided to watch it eventually, but she watched it first before me, and she said it's really good. As well. So I watched it. I watched Frankenstein. It was a really good movie as well. It's interesting. It's not like Nosferatu. It's a little bit the same. We'll talk about that, because I reviewed Nosferatu as well, so go and check it out as well. This movie's it's still a thriller drama, but it's not like scary. It's not like Nosferatu. Nosferatu was a lot, and I only watched that one time as well, because would I probably watch this again? Yeah, I watch it. It's easier to watch things once as well, but but with Frankenstein, I think it's not easy to watch it, but we're trying to say some things you can't watch like twice. We'll talk about the actors in a minute, but you can't watch something 100 times. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It just depends on the movie itself and how you feel watching it, because sometimes when you watch a movie, like, oh, I'm never watching that again. Like, oh, what? So yeah, so I only watched Nosferatu once. It was a lot darker than Frankenstein, I gotta be honest, but still a good movie. I might watch it again, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what I decide to do. But yeah, but back to Frankenstein. So yeah, so I've got a lot of things to talk about this movie. So yeah, so when I was watching this movie, I'm like, Frankenstein. So we all know the tale of Frankenstein, right? He is this, I wouldn't say abomination. He is this creature or creation that this mad scientist obviously made him as well. So I'm like, yeah. So we've heard the story of Frankenstein a couple of times, And I was curious to see, because when I watched Nosferatu, I was like, when did Frankenstein come out originally? So obviously it was a novel as well by Mary Shelley, which I think this is based on the novel of the movie, I think. I think this is based on the novel as well. So she did a novel originally. So this came out way before Nosferatu, or Dracula, I suppose. And so Mary Shelley published the book in 1880. Wow, that's a lot of time. So this actually came first before Dracula, before Nosferatu. And the second edition, because obviously there was another book, obviously, I think, the second edition of this was in 1823, so not that far away from the first novel as well. And then Bram Stoker was, who did Nosferatu and what the movie was based on, the story of Nosferatu as well. He published that in 1897, decades after Mary Shelley's passing as well. So that's also to consider as well. So yeah, so Frankenstein came first before Dracula. I never knew that. I thought it was the opposite, because I love Dracula. I love vampires as well. Like sometimes you see on my shelves vampires. Like, yes, I love vampires. I'm not a big Frankenstein person, to be honest with you. Like, I've never been interested in a story. Like, I know a story vaguely. Like, I know what happens, but I've just never been a big fan of Frankenstein, to be honest with you. So more of like, so when you think about like Nosferatu and Dracula, that kind of thing, I'm more like into vampires. Like, I like Dracula because, you know, he has an interesting story. Obviously, he bites people by the neck, obviously, so he has a little bit more to do, I would say. Frankenstein is just like a giant beast as well. So that's what I feel like, so there's been actually some adaptations. I'm not sure if I talked about this about Nosferatu review. Maybe I should have watched that. Maybe I should have watched that first. Oops. Oh well, we're doing this anyway. Off the marker, as they say. So yeah, so there's been a couple of iterations like Dracula. Obviously, there's been some iterations, of Frankenstein. So Frankenstein, the first one, like Nosferatu, because Nosferatu, like I said in my review, if I remember correctly, that was a silent film. That's a noir film, like black and white, basically. So that was a silent film at the time. And also Frankenstein was made in 1910. So Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein, was way before Nosferatu was created. So that's what you see. So that was in 1922. And Frankenstein was in 1910, and that also was a noir silent film as well. It was a short silent film, basically, as well, but still, silent as well, because they had, like, silent films. Before they had, like, speaking roles, they would always do, like, silent films, black and white. I watched a black and white movie a while ago, Some Like It Hot, and I'm like, why is this all black and white? And you gotta remember, they never had color back then, but some shows now, like, when you go to the 60s, when you see 60s or like other movies, it shows like, ooh, color. Although Wizard of Oz was the first one to experiment with color, because remember how Dorothy was in a black and white world basically, and then she went into color. It was like, oh, so beautiful. Ooh, this is beautiful. So that was the first, I think, test of Technicolor, which they called it back in the day. Technicolor, that's what they called it back in the day, obviously. So yeah, so there's that. So yeah, so Frankenstein, there was also one in 1921 and 1931 of the Frankenstein. I could be wrong, but that's what Google told me, so I'm trusting Google in this, that's all. And also there was another Dracula film in 1931, so, same year. Oh, that's interesting. So obviously, because Frankenstein came out first, obviously the original silent film came out first before Nosferatu as well. So that silent film came out in 1922 as well. So yeah, very interesting stuff there. So yeah, so let's talk about the film. Now this film is so good. Really good stuff here as well. So this is set in I had to look this up because I was curious. So this is in the 18th century, so basically in 1857, so a little bit later on, because Nosferatu was in the 18th century, but it was in 1838, like in the 1830s. So that's a little bit earlier of a decade period, to be honest with you, even though, you know, in history, Frankenstein came first, and Dracula and Nosferatu came out a little bit later on than Frankenstein, to be honest with you. So this was a little bit later, the story as well, time period as well. So yeah, so in that movie, because I was watching the movie, I'm like, what happened? Because they kept talking about this war in the movie, like, what war was in the 18th century? Because obviously I wasn't around in the 18th century, like, and I think nobody was around in the 18th century as well. But it's interesting to see, like, these period pieces and what things were like back in the day, because I say my Nosferatu, like, they had no electricity, no Wi-Fi, no TV, no phones, so they had to deal with a lot of stuff back in the day as well, with they had no lights as well, so very tough time during those times as well, for most people, if you were around that decade. But obviously people weren't around in that decade, but it's interesting to see period pieces like that, because, just realize, it just, like, history is so interesting to me. Like, history itself is so interesting, like World War, stuff like that. The history of it is very interesting as well, over there as well. So yeah, I don't think I know we have history in Australia, but ours is a bit, kind of, a bit vague a bit. So yeah, so obviously, this is set in the 18th century, in 1857, so it's a little bit later on than Nosferatu was, because that was in the 1838 century. So yeah, so like I said, good movie. Be warned, like Nosferatu, most of the main characters, die. I'm like, what the heck is this? like, at least Nicholas Hoult did not die. Now, he was like the main character in the movie, but most of the main characters, including the Victor, who's played by Oscar Isaac, died. I'm like, what kind of movie is this? And the ending really threw me off too, because I'm like, okay, so, because they talked about how, like, he cannot be killed, Frankenstein, because when you think of Dracula, his weakness is the sun, obviously, and you've seen that in Nosferatu as well a little bit, like, always, like, the vampires, like Superman, Superman is affected by kryptonite, it's kind of like the Dracula thing, but instead of kryptonite, it's, the sun, so the sun is the vampire's weakness, obviously. But Frankenstein doesn't have any weaknesses. Yeah, interesting. Like, I felt like the first shot of the opening movie, he felt like, oh my god, Frankenstein could be a superhero, because he has, like, really big strength, and I didn't realize that, because when you think of Frankenstein itself, you think that you don't really think Frankenstein has that strength in him, because he's such a very kind soul. We'll talk about Frankenstein a little bit later on here, but you just think of Frankenstein as a kind soul. He wouldn't even hurt a fly, basically. So that's what I think of Frankenstein. When I hear that, I think, oh yeah, Frankenstein. Yeah, sure. Like, I always imagine, like, I noticed that there's been other iterations, but this one does have the bolts in his neck. Now, I remember Frankenstein, like, have, like, there's a Monster High doll, basically, with the bride. We'll talk about it a little bit later, too. About how, we've always seen Frankenstein with the bolts in his neck, and he always has a bride. Interesting enough, unfortunately, the bride is not in this. Like, they were hinting at it, like, because Frankenstein said that, he wanted a companion, because he cannot die. And the scientist is like, no, I'm not going to build you, no. But obviously he does, because it's obviously the bride of Frankenstein, too, as well. I think I wrote down here when that movie came out. Did I? Maybe I did. Yeah, Bride of Frankenstein, there you go. So yeah, so there's that also, but unfortunately this is just about Frankenstein. No Bride of Frankenstein, just Frankenstein himself. So this is about him, basically. So yeah, so back to the 18th century. So what was going on in the 18th century? Well, I looked it up because I was curious, because I kept talking about this war. I'm like, what happened in the 18th century, like I said? And actually, in fact, hang on, got a book called The Criminary War, basically back in the day, and that's what happened during that time period, obviously. It's kind of like Nosferatu, but I think they're fabricated because they had the Black Plague in Nosferatu, but the Black Plague was in the 13th century, not the 19th century. So that was like 1346 to 1353. So it was way earlier than that, but I think they fabricated that bit because the Black Plague wasn't, fin in the 19th century, obviously. But they fabricated that a little bit, to get people more into the story, I think. Yeah, so the Criminary War was in 1853 to 1856. And when I looked this up, I'm like, oh my god, there's so many wars happening in the 18th century. Like, what? So this was the war, because I'm like, what's happening? Because they kept talking about this war that was going to happen in the movie, obviously. We didn't see it happen, but we saw soldiers, there's a lot of big war, there's a lot of blood and guts in this movie, a lot of, dead human bodies, so just be warned when you watch this. I'm like, oh, okay, but remember, it's not real, it's fake as well. Maybe I'll put a warning up in this video as well. So yeah, just be warned by that as well. It's very, not gruesome movie, but you gotta see how Frankenstein is created, obviously. They do something interesting with Frankenstein, which we'll get to a little bit later on, but, just be warned, this movie is very, it's not as bad as Nosferatu. Nosferatu was good, but I only watched that once, because it was very, very creepy. As well, how they did the vampire thing as well, Dracula himself in the movie as well. So, yeah, very, not disturbing, but, if you've seen that movie, then you know what I mean. But, yeah. Because there was a scene in the movie where they're beheading people, so I'm not sure if that was part of the war or not really. Like I said, in my Alice What Life Action, sorry, there's people in this, not here, but like in countries that they still do beheadings and sentences, which is interesting as well. Yeah. But anyway, besides that, yes, really great movie. It's very interesting to see the anomaly, or what do you call that? What do you call the human body? Oh no, what do you call it? It's like the anomaly. Like, oh no, it's something like that. So it's interesting to see how Victor Frankenstein, I did not notice what going in. I did not notice, because I've seen lots of iterations of Frankenstein. Like, not iterations, but obviously there's been movies about Frankenstein. Frankenstein has been a lot like Frankenstein, Dracula has. But yeah, I never clocked this that his last name is Frankenstein. That's interesting. Has that always been his name or not really? That's interesting. Like, oh, Victor Frankenstein. Wait. I know his name is Victor, basically, but I didn't know his last name was Frankenstein. So that's interesting. I wonder if that was in the book too. I'm not sure, but I'm like, oh, okay. So that's why he's called Frankenstein, because Victor Frankenstein. Right, got it. I'm not sure if he had a last name, but I thought that was very interesting for me to find out as well, because I always thought it was just Victor, and the creature would be Frankenstein. Obviously by the title, but it's not, I don't think. Yeah. But it's interesting to see how Victor, creates this human creature. And like I said before, there's some human, parts in this movie. Like, you see there's a scene in the movie which is very gruesome, of him, getting, like, he's looking for dead, what's it called? When they're dead. He's surrounded, like, that, obviously, like, in the movie, you see him, looking for dead, he's looking at, like, specimens of humans, like, who are dead, so they can use, like, his, organs and ligaments and obviously like that, and you see him create the creature, and it's pretty gruesome, so just be warned by that. It's not bad, but I think people will have a problem with that, and I'm thinking, yeah, because I don't know, like, the original Frankenstein, but I'm pretty sure Frankenstein was not made out of human body parts. As well, I'm like, ugh, this is very disturbing, but, like, so good at the same time, because, like, when you see Frankenstein, it doesn't have the bolts in his neck. That's all I'll say here. But, interesting that he made out these dead corpses, like, all these body parts of Frankenstein. I guess Frankenstein is a being that has, like, parts all over his body. Like, he might have a big arm, or, like, a small foot. Obviously, he is a abomination sort of thing, kind of, because he's, like, a creature, obviously, a big creature. So, yeah. I thought that was interesting, the way he was created as well. And the way that, and I felt kind of bad for her in the movie because, because Victor created him, and, I think Frankenstein stands for more, because when you think of Dracula, right, you think of, like, oh, blood-sucking vampire. I think Dracula's more evil in a sense, but Frankenstein here, he's not a monster, although people say monster, sort of like when people look at like a weird kid, or like someone who is a bit different, or someone who's not right or deformed, or sort of kind of thing as well. So you think that, but you can't actually say it out loud. So it's sort of like, not to say that autism is, a bad thing, but sometimes, people look at, like, my severely autistic brother, for example, people look at him very weirdly sometimes because he's different. And that's kind of like, not that he's a monster inside. Like, my brother, like, even though he's taller than me, which sucks, He's a big cuddly teddy bear, but he wouldn't even hurt a fly. Like, he's scared of literally everything, so he wouldn't hurt a fly. Like, he might be big, but he's scared of literally everything. So, you know, so it's kind of like that. Like, you know, like, just because you perceive someone in a different light doesn't mean they're gonna do that. But I think I relate to this movie because of that. Not that I'm saying like people are monsters, basically. Sometimes they are, but it's just like say like you can't judge a book by its cover, basically. And I think that's what Frankenstein is. Like, he's like a big book. Like, just because he's a monster doesn't mean he is one. And I think, you know, Frankenstein has a really good heart, and I felt bad that Victor was abusing him and making him, you know, mean. And that's how he became to be a monster, because of Victor. And Victor, there's a scene in the movie where a death scene happens to one of the characters, and, you know, he says, "That monster killed her." I'm like, Victor, like, what? Like, he didn't do anything. Like, it just got to show you how people can be cruel and vicious and can just turn on you, like, in a second. And I think that, you know, I think that this movie, you know, shows that Frankenstein is not a monster. Like, he might be perceived that way by people, but he's not a monster. He's actually a gentle, kind creature. And I don't know if Frankenstein is actually a monster in this movie. I'm not sure, but I never thought that way, because he was, well, I don't know, because I think Victor had some parts of him, because he was created by Victor, right? So I think Victor, you know what they say, you know, if you raise a child, basically, and you show them abuse, they will become abusive, basically. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, you raise, it's like Frankenstein's little baby, basically, and he doesn't know anything better. But if you treat a child with abuse, they will become an abuser themselves, or like they'll become that, or because your parents are solely the ones that raise you, basically, as well. So it's just like if you raise your kids to be kind, then you'll be kind. It's like having a pet. Like, if you treat your pet with kindness, they'll become a kind creature. But if you abuse your pet, as well, they'll become vicious as well. So that's kind of the turnaround a bit as well. But yeah, I kind of felt bad for Frankenstein a bit, because I'm like, he wasn't taught that, he was learnt to be that way by Victor. And I think Victor had some faults in him as well. And he just, like, you know, he's not a nice man, you know, scientist as well, you know. And I think that shows in all the different iterations of Frankenstein as well. So let's talk about the casting, shall we? Sorry, it's on your page. Okay. Obviously, there's a lot of people in this movie, but we're going to focus on the main three characters, okay? So let's start with Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein. Oh my god, he's an Australian actor here. Go Aussies, yay! I saw him in Saltburn. Oh my god, go watch Saltburn. You might... That's even more disturbing than Nosferatu. That's really psychologically a disturbing film as well. My mum saw it. As well that I saw. I'm like, I can't, and she said to me, because I watched the film, because I was telling her while I was watching, I'm like, I'll watch Stopper, and I'm like, what, I can't believe you watched that movie, Bill, like, okay, as well. So I only watched it once, but it was very disturbing, very psychological thriller kind of thing. It was really like, ugh, you know, like, what? Anyway, yeah, but he was in that movie. Obviously in that movie, you know, obviously the characters die and stuff like that, so it's interesting how movies perceive a psychological, you know, person or character. It's sort of like You. I'm not sure if you heard of the show called You, obviously, but that's about, you know, a murderer, basically. And he pretends to, you know, hide out and be a good guy, but it's actually a bad guy. And obviously, you know, he goes, he's not like Jack the Ripper, but he goes after women, and he doesn't really kill them, but it tends to be that way. So it's interesting how the psychological mind of a mental unhealthy person can be. So I guess that's why people like to do those kind of series or movies, because it, you know, just shows that as well, basically. So yeah, so back to Jacob Elordi. I thought it was very good here. He's very tall for Frankenstein, so I like that, because Frankenstein, if you see the character of Frankenstein, is pretty tall, so I think the height of Frankenstein was good for him as well. He was also in Elvis. He played Elvis. Oh, he did such a great job in Priscilla. He played Elvis as well. And also, he's in an upcoming movie with Margot Robbie in Wuthering Heights, I believe. I'm not sure when that's supposed to come out, but, you know, good for him for getting roles. You know, the first thing I saw him in was a kissing booth, to be honest with you. But he's grown as an actor significantly all the way through, and I think this movie shows that he can perform really, really good. Like, if you get, like, a role like this, it just changes your career forever. So I'm very happy for him that he got this role. And he said in an interview recently, like a while ago when the movie was released, he said that he was in makeup for like 11 hours, and all of this movie is practical effects as well. Like, it's not VFX, it's not CGI, all of it is practical effects, which is insane for a movie to do these days, because you think, oh yeah, so all of it is practical effects. I think my mum was talking about that there's a set she was talking about on the set, like, I think she said something about practical effects of that being as well. So I think that was very interesting for a movie to be practical. I think, was Nosferatu practical effects? I think it was too. Yeah, it was, because I saw a video. I'm like, oh yeah, it is practical effects as well for some capacity as well. So I thought that was very, very good stuff here as well. My eyebrows. Let's try to... But I thought he did a really good job playing Frankenstein, and he embodied Frankenstein. And interesting enough, when it came to, like, the creation of Frankenstein, they also did, like, puppeteers. They did, like, puppeteer stuff as well, which I think is very fascinating as well, because you kind of see him, creating Frankenstein, kind of, and figuring out where the source goes. Because obviously, I'm not sure how he's physically created. I'm not sure how he comes alive, basically, because it's usually like electricity would be attached to his, hands or, like, his head or anything. So, yeah. So, in this, it's a bit different. So, yeah. So, he has, like, this electrical thing at the back of his spine, I think, because they're trying to figure out where to put it. And, they kept saying that Frankenstein has a heart, but I'm like, Frankenstein doesn't even have a heart. Like, first off, you'd be dead without a heart, basically. Although movies can get away with a little bit more because it's more fantasy, and if you had no beating organ or heart, you would probably die. So you need a heart as well. Because I'm like, how is Frankenstein alive? As well, because I'm like, he doesn't have a heart. So is he? So does this thing make him alive? Although he can't be killed either because he's immortal, right? I think they made Frankenstein a little immortal, but in the original character of Frankenstein himself, he's not immortal as well. But I think they've changed a couple of things about Frankenstein, which I'm not sure how to feel personally. But because he's at one point there was like fire and flames, and usually speaking of like weaknesses, Frankenstein is immune to fire. Like, not immune to fire, but scared of fire. Like, he says fire and stuff like that. You'll probably see things. You probably see like Frankenstein as well doing that as well. But here, when he gets lit by fire, basically, it just heals him. And I'm like, I think he's immune to fire. I'm like, what? That's impossible. How? Because fire can kill you in real life. You gotta be careful. But I'm like thinking, how is Frankenstein alive? Because he doesn't have a heart. Because he kept saying he had a heart, but he doesn't have a heart. So I was a bit confused. I'm like, because obviously he's got that mechanism inside him keeping him alive. So that's like a tool. That's not really a heart per se. So, so that was interesting. I'm like, how is he alive? Because obviously, in this movie, it's perceived different because he's made out of human body parts, which I'm not sure how I feel about that as well, but that's a movie for you. But I don't think he has a heart, basically. And it's hard. In scientifically, a human needs its organ, a heart is an organ, right? It's the beating thing of your whole body, what makes you alive, basically. If you don't have a heart, then you're dead as well. And if it stopped beating, it's dead as well to a degree. But I'm like, how is Frankenstein alive? Like, does he have a heart? Does he not? I don't think he has. I think there's a scene where he was like being created and there's like a little bit of heart, but it was like big. But I'm like, that's not even a heart. That's like, strenuous, stuff of like body things. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a heart, but yeah, because in the original Frankenstein of the character, he was same here, electricity made him came to life, and it's same here, but at different status. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. But he did a pretty good job as well in the role. Oscar Isaac, we talked about him before, I think. Wasn't he in Star Wars or something? Yeah, he was a wet blanket in Star Wars, let me tell you. So yeah, because I watched all the, the bad Star Wars, the new bad Star Wars ones as well. Not great as originals, Can't believe they did that to Han Solo. But anyway, so Oscar Isaac, he did a pretty good job. At first when I saw the movie, because I couldn't tell, because he looked really small, and I'm like, because some actors these days are on Ozempic, like the new drug where you could just lose weight instantly, so I wasn't sure if it was on that, or he looked pretty small, so I wasn't sure if he was on Ozempic or not, or that's just him, because his head looked bigger than his body for some reason. I'm like, okay, because there's a shot in the movie when he's doing showing people about life and death, which we'll get to later on, but he's telling people we can do so about this, but I just felt that shot of him looking at the thing that he had. I felt like he was very, very, his body felt smaller than his head, so I don't know, it was off. I'm like, but other than that, it was okay during the movie. I think that shot just really zoned me out of the movie a bit. I'm like, yeah, okay. So yeah, interesting stuff here. But you never know these days, so yeah. Okay, so he was really good as a scientist. I liked the part where he went a little bit crazy, mentally crazy, because there's a part in the movie where he sort of, starts to lose it a little bit and then becomes the villain. I know people say Frankenstein is a villain, Frankenstein is supposed to be the villain, but actually the scientist is supposed to be the villain. So I think I liked how he transitioned into, making this creature, and then, it became a villain over time and made Frankenstein the bad guy, obviously, as well. And it's interesting that he created Frankenstein, but then decided to destroy the creation and then the building. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing, Victor? What? That's insane. I would never expect a scientist to destroy their creations as well. I'm like, that's weird, but he didn't die because obviously the fire didn't kill him. So, because he's immune to fire, so he survived. So, I don't know how that happened, but oh well. But yeah, I thought he did a really good job as well. I like his hair. His hair was really cool, the curly hair. So good as well. Okay, Mia Goth. She was good in this movie. I like her outfit changes. She reminded me of Helen from Nosferatu a little bit as well, because she's very, speaking of, Victor and her have some good chemistry together, but then they don't. So yeah, so her outfits are amazing in this movie. I'm not sure why they, because back in the day, women had, big bonnets and obviously veils, and she had a veil, most of the time in the movie. Why does she have a veil on? She's not getting married. But maybe that was, the Victorian period back in the day, because I obviously try to base this off the Victorian period, the styling of the dresses as well. So I thought it was very interesting. And when she moved, the dress kind of moved with her, because she had, a little a little hoop thing on a dress as well, a little corset. So I liked how it just moved when she flowed. So I thought that was really cool as well. She reminded me a lot of Helen from Nosferatu, which is an interesting choice. At first she reminded me, because there was a flashback scene of Victor's mom, and she looked like the little bit of the actress who played Victor's mom in that movie. I'm like, wait a second, is that the mom? Although she looks younger. They had the same look, I would think. So yeah, so that kind of threw me off, wait a second, is that his mom, but younger version of her? What was going on? So I felt like the makeup was a little bit similar. I felt like she was a bit similar to the Victor's mom in the movie. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because she was wearing the red veil, she was wearing a green veil, the makeup and everything, her hair was kind of the same, so I kind of got that vibe as well. But she did a good job as well. I think she was the only one that realized that Frankenstein was not a monster, and I thought that was very interesting as well, and the chemistry between those two as well. So yeah, what was I going to say? So obviously, with that being said, yes, he does have a brother. Now, I know a little bit of Frankenstein's story, because Victor does have a brother named William, and I always thought that his brother would become Frankenstein. Now, that's what I thought. I was totally wrong. I'm like, oh, wait a second, isn't, because I think his brother died apparently. And in some of the other versions of stories where they go, and then he makes him into Frankenstein as well. So I always thought that, but that wasn't the case here. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought. I always thought Frankenstein was a version of his brother, but just a creature as well. They kind of did that because I'm watching Once Upon a Time and I went with my mum, and I was just finishing, and I just watched an episode of like the Frankenstein as well, and Victor and William and his brother passed, and he made him. Not made it, but was trying to make him come alive again. So that was also interesting as well. So yeah, with that version of that as well, because I always thought Frankenstein was a version of his brother William. That's what I always thought, but I was totally wrong in that case as well. Maybe I'm not. Let me know in the comments if you know. But yeah, it's interesting. This movie talks about life and death. Okay. Very big part of the movie as well, because Victor says because he lost his mom when he was a kid. And, how he's, like, in the precinct or, like, in this, like, court thing. He's like, how can we prevent death? And the answer is you can't. Death happens. Life and death. Death happens for a reason. And I think, like, the message of this here is never make... they say in movies, like, sometimes when you bring a character back to life, not in real life, because that's not how it works, but in real life, not in real life, but in movies, right, you would see a character be resurrected, basically, and it's like, oh, why would you mess with the death? And I think Victor realizes, too late that you can't resurrect someone that is already dead, basically. Because he said, because his brother, unfortunately, there's a lot of deaths nearly towards the end of the movie, including Victor as well. A lot of deaths. But, he says he could save you, and he says, no, don't save me, or something like that. I can't remember what he said, but yeah, something like that. But yeah, Frankenstein, who can't be killed, and is kind of immortal and a bit immune, can't be killed, obviously. And I think that doesn't deserve... not a purpose, but I think that just, the lesson here is don't make a creation and make it come alive, because, that's the whole thing. Frankenstein is a, creation of Victor, and, never resurrect anyone from the dead. That's the lesson. Never resurrect anyone from the dead. Don't mess with death, because, obviously, it doesn't go well, and that's what this movie tries to do. So yeah, like I said, really good movie. Go check it out. It's on Netflix right now as well. You're going to have a fun time watching this as well. Like, very interesting stuff about how they put life and death in this movie as well. Like, the question is, like, sometimes I have this question, like, why do people die? And it's just life, you can't physically... I guess sort of this movie tells us that you can't physically, make someone come alive again. As well. Like, you can't mess with death. You can't mess with, Mother Nature, basically, as well. So I guess that puts it all into perspective as well. So those are my thoughts on Frankenstein. Like I said, streaming right now on Netflix, so go and check it out. What do you think? And as always, guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe to Mella's Mixed Media, guys.